makes me so happy every week because that means it's time for the best show on YouTube, right, Adrian? Lioness
Yes, I
Lifestyle
love the
Live.
intro you put together. I love
That's
it.
it. That's it. So I'm Cristie from Meeting Wellness, and welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live. We are so happy to meet with you this evening.
And I'm Adrian from Adrian K. Gledhill. And tonight we have another awesome guest. If you have any questions for her, please put QQQ or question in front of your comment so that we be sure to get it to her. So we are sure to get it to her.
Absolutely. And that means it's time for this week's Roar of the Week. Oh my gosh. So we don't have 3 people. So now we're still doing this. It fits so nicely. Anyway, this one is from a former guest on the show, The Carnitarian Life, referring to last week's show. So this was such an incredible chat. If you haven't seen that episode with Dr. Leslyn Keith, go catch the replay because it was an incredible chat. Thank you so much for all the information. It makes so much sense to me now why I do better with a lower fat, higher protein carnivore approach. Thank you so much, Linda. If you want to be next week's Roar of the Week, please drop us a comment after the show is over down below. We will diligently hunt through those and find someone to shout out next week. And now that can only mean one thing, and that's that it is absolutely time to bring out our awesome guest.
Hi, friends. Hi.
Well, hey there, Chelsea. Oh, I'm so glad you called us friends. That is fantastic. We always feel like every guest we have on, they sort of become part of our lioness pride over here. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
We would love to start off by having you tell us a little bit about your health journey and how did you come to carnivore?
Okay, so I came to carnivore. It was quite a long journey. I think when you look at carnivore and you start researching, you find 2 major arteries of people that end up in carnivore. And that is the people with serious health issues who are using it as an elimination diet to figure out what's going on with their body and what's making them, flare up. And then there's the other artery, and it is weight loss. Now, I will caveat that. My entire life, I struggled with weight from kid up. If you've seen any Dr. Phil special, My 600-Pound Life, you look at people who just their whole life, they struggle up and down with weight. I was a chunky kid. I grew up in an environment where I was surrounded by lovely women. I absolutely love them. They really did not have a lot of self-value, not a lot of self-worth, not a great deal of self-esteem. And they were sort of raised with the mentality that if you're heavy, you don't have much value. If not, you're doing great. And that was just sort of the mentality that I sort of grew up with. And I have not a negative thing to say about any of the people who helped raise me because they're beautiful, smart, funny, and amazing. But they all wanted to be thin, and none of them had any real clue as to how to get that way. It was you eat or you don't. So I just sort of learned how to survive and get by and do my best. I did a lot of yo-yo dieting. I was a serial yo-yo dieter. And yo-yo dieting, you gain weight, you go on something that's going to help you lose weight quickly, you fall off the wagon, and you're back at the beginning. And I did that over and over and over and over again. And with dieting and yo-yo dieting and not a lot of self-esteem, this created a great deal of anxiety, depression, the whole gambit of basic mental health issues that kind of plague everyone today on a daily basis. I was really depressed. I struggled with various eating disorders over time. I just kind of got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I am not a balancer. I didn't know this at the time. When you're like 20, you don't know who you are and what you are. I just knew that I either eat everything or I don't eat. And that was kind of where I found myself. And this is when I was like coming into my own as an adult. So that was just the basic math of who I was. I either eat everything or I don't eat anything. And that's just where I lived, right in that line. And that is miserable. It's like a miserable place to live. I remember a lot of my daily focus was on what I'm going to eat, what I'm not going to eat, how much, what do I look like? Is my weight okay today? Am I doing good today? Because that's how life goes. If your weight's great, you are great, you know? And it was a real storm of emotions. And I remember trying diet pills, and I actually mentioned this. I do have a testimony video on my YouTube channel, but I remember like that was sort of the culture at the time too. I think nowadays there's such an emphasis on health. You know, how you get there, there is such a bigger emphasis on health than there were 10 years ago. There is a drive to sort of figure out what's the healthiest way to go about it. Back then it was Atkins Slim Fast. You could buy phentermine over the counter at not 7-Eleven, but like drugstores. They had like over the counter phentermine. I think the culture was diluted. I was a victim of that culture. Not a victim, but I was definitely a product of that culture. So I developed a lot of eating problems, and I could not maintain my weight. I didn't have any real clue as to how to actually lose weight. And that led to issues. A series of tragedies in my life led me to just balloon up to my highest weight ever. As an adult, I weighed 255 pounds, and I'm 5'8". So it was big. It is very big. I don't care what size you are. I was overweight. I had high blood pressure, I was 33 years old with high blood pressure. I had a family history of heart issues. Actually, both of my parents have passed away of heart problems. My mom had COPD and, you know, CHF and every letter, you know, she had it and passed away. My father died of a major heart attack. So I remember at this point, I still had struggled with, you know, diet and yo-yo and everything, but it went from this shift to what is going to make me look good to, oh my goodness, my parents have died of heart problems. What does my next decade look like? Where am I going with this? And that's where I really started to focus on a lifestyle change versus a diet. And that's where I started to experiment with keto. And I started to do low carb. I tried intermittent fasting for a little while. But again, I am a quantity eater, and I'm not a balancer, and I'm not a moderator. And intermittent fasting turned into like one binge fast in the day. I would eat once a day, but I would still eat enough for a full day. And I struggled with that. And then when I got serious about keto, this was 2 years ago in December 21st was 2 years ago when I finally decided to sort of get serious about it and really delve into it. I found a great deal of success. I lost 40 pounds. But I remember at the time I was getting a little frustrated with it because while I was, you know, I knew I could only eat so many carbohydrates in a day, I found that I was still craving those carbohydrates. I was still craving sugar. I was still having that difficulty where I'm definitely maintaining it, but I'm just constantly thinking about the sugar. I'm constantly craving it. And this is where I went from, you know, I'm a yo-yo dieter and I have trouble with balancing to realizing that I was like a full-blown sugar addict. This is where that, you know, aha moment came. And I thought I really got into that mentality. Like I need to admit that I have a problem like they do on intervention. I admitted that I was a sugar addict. And I treated myself as if I were an alcoholic per se. And I thought, you know, because, you know, you're on keto, everybody's like, well, you can have a little bit, you can have a sneak, you can have a cheat here and there. And I thought, well, if I were an alcoholic, would I have a beer every once in a while? Would I have a drink? Would I have a slip every once in a while? No, absolutely not. So then I fully admitted that I was a sugar addict. And when I was researching, I was still struggling and stuck because I had never heard of carnivore. I didn't know that this was even an option. I was still under the mentality like you need carbs to give you energy and you have to have carbs. It's like an essential thing in your life. And I was researching like keto recipes and carnivore started popping up. Now, carnivore is becoming very popular, much more widely accepted and better understood. It's still not there. It's still not all the way there. But even 2 years ago when I was first starting out, it was crazy. I looked at this and I thought, these people are crazy. They're going to die of heart disease and heart failure. And this is literally impossible to do. And then I watched an interview with Kelly Hogan with, who did I see her with? I watched an interview with Kelly Hogan. And she had been with Ken Berry, forgive me, Dr. Ken Berry, and she said that she had been a carnivore for 13 years and she was still alive and she was doing great. So that just totally changed my mentality. And I thought, this is it. And I will say that I've met a lot of people in my journey over the last 2 years and many people who struggle with similar things to me. And they've come to me and I'm going to start carnivore. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then inevitably they fall off the wagon. And that's not everybody. But when I first started researching it, I knew that I was in it for the long haul. I knew if Kelly Hogan can do it for 13 years, I can do it for 13 years. And I am, I guess, lazy. So I knew that if I started, I would eventually adapt. If I kept going, I would eventually adapt. And if I went off of it, I'd have to start all over again. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to get back on the wagon and start all over again. So as a lazy person, I was like, I'm not going to start all over again. And that's my primary motivation. By the way, a lot of people ask, where do you get self-control from to stay on carnivore? And if you're in this boat where you're struggling to stay on carnivore, be lazy. Don't make yourself start over again. You know, that's a great motivation. But I decided that I was going to start carnivore. I started December 21st, 2023, or 2022, forgive me. 2022 was almost the new year, the day after my birthday. And I was waiting for like the butterflies and the rainbows to just pop out. You know what I mean? I did my first week, I did my second week, and it was okay. I'm not going to lie. I struggled a significant amount because I'm like, well, my sugar cravings are still here. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to look at ground beef again. You know, I never thought that I would get sick of meat, but I just, you know, the aha moment didn't come. But again, I wanted to stick with it. So I think the 21st of every month, because that was like my anniversary, I like checked in with myself. After the first month, I'm like, I'm not there, but I'm going to keep going. Second month, same thing. But at this point, I'm like, if I am not into this by March 21st, my third month, I can't do it. Everybody was right. I was right. I'm super right. These people are crazy. And then I started to really research carnivore, and I understood that, you know, you should have plenty of fat, which I wasn't doing enough of. And you have to get rid of artificial sweeteners as well as sugar, etc. And I was still in the keto brain where it's like, you can have diet soda, you can have artificial sugars. It's fine because it's not counting. I gave up that. And within a week or two, I was fully adapted, fully carnivore. And I have never looked back. Like I don't see myself, because I think I lost an additional 50 pounds. I just kept going. So I've lost 90 pounds total. I started running again. I'm really into running, run carnivore run. And overall my health got better. I used to have a hormone imbalance before carnivore, and that is completely gone. I don't break out. I used to get a breakout religiously once a month, every month. And it was hormonal acne. And I was moody, to say the least. Ask my family. I'm sure they'd love to tell you. I was moody and unpleasant. So my hormone imbalance is gone. It's balanced. I had a great deal of symptoms with PMS, low libido, all of those girly issues. That was cleared up with carnivore. I had high blood pressure that is now gone. I had blood work done almost a year in, and every number except for my cholesterol, and we all know where that's going, was stunning. Perfect. My triglycerides are down to 46. My teeth, I used to have every couple of years an eruption in my teeth, root canals, crowns. I had to have cleanings every 3 months instead of every 6 months. All of these gum issues, the beginning of periodontal disease, and my last 2 cleanings, I'm clear. It has actually reversed all of my gum damage, and my dental health has improved. That's really important to me because your gums and teeth are heavily related to your heart health. And to me, that's telling me that my teeth and gums are getting healthier. Therefore, my heart is getting healthier and stronger. I have a resting heart rate of 49. I have energy, vitality, et cetera, et cetera. So the carnivore diet, while I started it for weight loss, I found that the lifestyle truly was freedom for me. I do not crave sugar. I don't think about what I'm going to eat. You know, I remember when I was like in the heat of intermittent fasting and dieting and yo-yo dieting, and I'd be like, okay, well, I eat today at this time. I would think about that meal all day. What dessert I'm going to have. I think about it a day in advance. Oh, a special occasion is coming. I'm planning the cake. There is no freedom in that. Absolutely not. There's no freedom. There's no joy in that. And that is not living. That is sort of existing. So with carnivore, I went from existing to living. And I get a lot of, oh, you have high cholesterol. Oh, I don't think necessarily that carnivore is the be all, end all, cure all. I don't think that it's going to make me live forever. You know what I mean? Nobody can guarantee that. But I tell people, if you're looking at quality over quantity, the quality of my life dramatically, whether if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know what I mean? I will have had such a good quality of life compared to the sugar addicted, low self-esteem, anxiety-ridden person that I was before. And by the way, carnivore is I used to have a great deal of issues with anxiety and depression regularly, gone. I have stress in life. I have problems, ups and downs in life, but I'm able to maintain and cope and deal with these pressures now. Whereas before, when I was eating the typical American diet and a lot of sugar and a lot of ultra processed foods, I really think that there was something that created a chemical imbalance within me. Also, I think that I'm not a doctor. I'm not, and I'm not saying that mental health isn't real by any means, any sense of the word. But I definitely think that our diets, and I've seen it firsthand, our diets definitely contribute to a great deal of the mental anguish that we experience every day. I definitely, I've understood that carnivore certainly isn't for everyone. When I first started, I was like, I need to tell everybody they need to be on carnivore because it's like the miracle. And I've just learned from people getting irritated in general and it's not the be all end all. It's not the only way, but it definitely encouraged me to try and help people to really reevaluate what they're eating and really understand the amount of ultra processed food that they are consuming and really kind of noticing the correlation between that and their mental and physical health. It is rampant. When I started this lifestyle, and people really started to notice the difference. You know, you notice the difference immediately. It takes a while for everybody else, it is what it is. But when people really, really started to notice and talk to me about it and ask what I'm doing, so many people came forward. I have diabetes. I have hypertension. I have cholesterol medicine that my doctor wants me to take. I have heart tests. I have et cetera, et cetera. It's just like the list goes on. And I feel like if somebody tells me, oh, I have diabetes, I high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and it all like comes with it. And you know, I find that a lot of people who suffer from these things also struggle with weight, also struggle with their diet. I want to get the word out. I want to show people that you can live and have a great life on carnivore. I know that a lot of my hesitation at the beginning was, how do I get started? How do I maintain this? Is this real? I remember the first time when it dawned on me, you're never going to have sugar again. Like that thought actually crossed my mind, because I'm like, so how long do I have to stay on this before, you know, I can go back to splurging and go back? And I just remember that day where I was like, I can never have sugar again. And to get to the point of acceptance of that fact took a little while, and it took a great deal of prayer. I definitely got closer to my Lord at this time. You know, I do think having a higher power and a good spiritual life definitely can help you maintain, you know, your steadfastness and, you know, your motivation. But I think that I would love just to encourage people to not be afraid to try, and to not worry so much about the long term and the greater questions you have about how am I going to live 10 years from now, and just start. You know, does that make any sense? Am I going somewhere with this?
Yeah, 100% that makes sense, because you can't worry about 5 years from now. Just worry about today. Like, I'm just going to be carnivore today, right?
Yes.
And then eventually, now I'm to the point where I don't even want to eat the sugar. But I remember in the beginning, similar to you, I had the same type of cravings. Your story is so similar to mine. It's crazy as I was listening to you talk. I was wondering, when you said the part about you were getting ready now and you were going to get serious. When you say you were going to get serious with keto and carnivore, like, what did you mean by get serious? Did you see some videos or do some more research? Are you talking going more meat-based, or what did you mean by that?
So I wanted to get serious in that I was going from eating almond flour and looking up keto desserts and basically trying to keep my diet as crappy as possible while maintaining keto. This is where, you know, I decided to really cut down on all of the carbs for good. I wasn't meat-based at that point. I loved meat. I was definitely heavier into more green leafy vegetables. I was definitely cutting back on nuts. I was definitely taking out the sweets. I remember that was like my first step. I just cut out all desserts because, again, I have that mentality, like that all or nothing, difficult with balance. So I'm like, I'm going to cut out dessert. Like, you know what I mean? So I can look at a table. I know what dessert is. I cut it out. And basically I was getting serious in that I couldn't just keep playing with keto. I couldn't go, you know, 30 carbs today, 20 carbs tomorrow. Maybe I had a splurge and I have to sneak it back. You know, maybe I could have, you know, that extra whatever, you know, I need to seriously cut back and figure out what is going on. I needed to cut carbs without realizing that I really just needed to get rid of carbs, you know? So again, I didn't know that no carb was an option. And to this day, people tell me, you need carbs. They give you energy. They need carbs. You give you energy. It's like this echo chamber. And I'm like, try to explain, carbs are a form of energy. They certainly are a form of energy. You don't need them. Dr. Anthony Chaffee, actually, he's the one who said your body needs 4 grams of glucose or something to pump your entire system. And your body your liver will produce the amount of sugar you need to run your body with the fuel that you are feeding it. So it was definitely a lesson. I didn't start, I knew what keto was. I knew how to follow it. When I got into carnivore, when I got really serious and I found carnivore, that's when I did a real deep dive into how your body works and how it actually processes food and how your liver actually works. And that's when I sort of understood the mechanics of it. Whereas before it was keto, it was a diet, it was low carb. That was my research, you know, that's what I would put on a business card. With carnivore, and even 2 years ago when I started, it was not as widely accepted as it is now. I mean, just 2 years later, I think we have January as carnivore month now. I think that's like a thing. And it's only been 2 years, but sometimes I feel like an old lady watching like January, everybody's going carnivore. And I'm like, back in the day, they'd call you crazy. You know what I mean? I had to fight for my rights, you know. I didn't, but you know what I mean?
I started January 2023, so like a few weeks after you. So
hey.
United.
Power to
we have some questions about the running specifically. One thing I would love for you to, there's this myth that you have to consume carbs to be a good athlete. And I was just recently in a half marathon, and every 2 miles they had gel stations for free. And next to the gel was candy and bananas and peanut butter and all this stuff. And I remember having to fuel every couple of miles, despite the 6 months I had trained. For some reason, I needed to fuel up throughout the whole race. And now that I don't do that, I don't have to do that anymore. Could you tell us how that goes for you? And if you have any information behind that myth?
Yes. So again, you're looking at the source of energy for your body. In order to run, in order to do any sort of athletic exercise, especially aerobic exercise, you need fuel in your body. Now you can fuel your body with carbohydrates, or you can fuel your body with fat, etc. But fat is my primary fuel source. If you are giving your body adequate energy, it's going to let you fuel your body. And I find that I actually am able to run further. I don't know, it could be psychosomatic, but I find that I get more bang for my buck when I'm not eating the sugar, the gels, the little packets that they have with the, you know, Gatorade, electrolyte stuff. They have all kinds of products now. I'm not knocking any of them. I'm not sponsored, not knocking any of them, but I think that it's kind of a myth. And I find that when you're running, you have a sugar thing. They give out gummy bears quite a bit. I've seen those at a lot of races too. You know, you have your gummy bears, you're going to get a burst of energy. But I find that when you spike your blood sugar that quickly, it goes boom, boom. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why they give them out every 2 hours or so. But I just feel like, or every 2 miles, I feel like you're giving yourself a big boost, but then it just kind of drops as quickly as it starts. And I find with fueling myself with fat and protein, I'm getting a more even run. I'm getting like a more even, consistent energy rather than the spikes and the dips. I'm not saying that either method I'm not saying like if you have the sugar and the gels, it's going to make you a terrible runner. But by all means, I'm just saying you're giving yourself energy regardless of sugar or fat and protein. And that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, that's great. While we're on this subject, Mike Shaw would like to know, he says, hey, Chelsea, how long were you on carnivore before you started running again, or did you never stop?
Yeah. So I have run on and off my entire adult life, especially 10 years ago before I had a baby. I was training pretty hard and running quite a bit. I would say I started running, not seriously, but I started running when I was on keto. I was probably a month and a half into carnivore when I really started to hit the ground running and train a little harder and run more consistently. I was probably running 5 to 6 days a week at that point. And not great. I wasn't consistently great. It took a while to get myself going, but I also started at a heavy weight. I wasn't, a super athlete starting out. So I would say probably a month and a half in.
What length of races do you do? And has your performance changed at all?
Yes. So I have run a half marathon. I haven't gone any further than that. And the half marathon was for me. I've run a few 5K, like official races. I've run a few 5Ks and I did a 10K last year. I'm doing another 10K this year. I haven't done a lot of competitive running. I mostly do it for me on my own. I would love to run a marathon one day and I will. Yeah. And what was the second part of the question?
It was just the length and the performance. And I just want to throw a plug that you should come to Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota. It's the best.
Okay. Grandma's Marathon. I love it. Okay.
It's really, really good. It's along the shore of Lake Superior and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of the bigger races in the United States. So the entire race course, you have people cheering you on. You have people setting up stands and there's like guitarists. There's a troll station where people line up trolls along the road. Tons of weird, cool stuff that just keeps your brain from focusing on the run and more the atmosphere.
Okay. I love that. Okay. I will definitely check out Grandma's Run. Yes. And I love the name, by the way. Yeah, my athletic performance increased as I increased my running. I mean, that's kind of it. And that was less to do with my diet and probably more to do with training. Yes.
So I have one more exercise question. Do you do any other kinds of exercise like lifting or anything like that? Or is it just the running?
So as of right now, it's just the running. I go on kicks where I get a wild hair and I start lifting. I was doing a lot more lifting last September or so. And that's it. I definitely enjoyed lifting. My exercise schedule definitely vacillates with my life schedule. Running is what keeps me sane, I think, and I can just throw my shoes on and go out my door and go for a run. And I think that that's kind of why I love running, and that's kind of where I sit with my primary exercise. But yeah, I go on random kicks of lifting. I can't lift up a car. I can do some push-ups. I can't do any fancy tricks. So I do want to be one of those people, though, who's like, I did a 4x4 and a 25 and a DL Russian whatever. I'm not fancy in any way, shape, or form.
Well, you're further along than me because I didn't understand that last sentence you just said.
I didn't either. I just made it up. But the people, I swear, the people in the gym, they could be making it up too, but they're so impressive. I could listen to it all day.
In my gym, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I work out in the day. And so I work out with the retired people. And there are some impressive people. They're like, you inspire me. I want to be you.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us, what are your staple meals?
Okay, so ground beef, number one. I always have ground beef cooked and in my fridge ready to go. I use it as a side dish. I'll use it as a main dish. I'll throw some salt and butter on it. That is just a staple in my home and diet. Hard-boiled eggs, regular eggs. I go through an embarrassing amount of eggs. That is a staple. I wish that eggs had an advertisement. I would sign up for that commercial because I think it's the perfect food. Steak, I have a few times a week. It's a standby. I can cook it in the air fryer. I also enjoy pork belly. I get it from Costco and I portion it up and let it rumble, and chicken wings. Those are probably, if I had no other foods for the rest of my life, those 5 foods are almost always ready to go in my house. And anything I can air fry, it's my jam. It's pretty much my jam.
Okay, well, everybody knows this is the appropriate time of the show for me to ask. Do you eat picanha? Do you know what picanha is? Do you enjoy a good picanha? I love picanha, if you can't tell.
Yes. Is it lamb?
No, it isn't.
No.
It is a sirloin cap, so it's beef,
Oh,
and it's the
okay.
end of the sirloin. But it has this delicious fat cap on it, and it's just so good. In fact, I have one in my oven that I'm gonna go smash after this.
Oh,
So
that sounds
good.
delightful.
So you need to try it.
Yes, I go to Brazilian steakhouses. That is
Okay,
my
yeah,
number one. Yes,
you get it there.
it's my number one, and I do get it there. And I should know what picanha is, but it sounds good. Picanha, yes.
Have you tried the Tasty air fryer? Because I think the Tasty air fryer might be another favorite in this group. Have you tried it?
Oh
no.
yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. It's got a window, it's got a probe, it's got programming, it cooks everything perfectly. Instead of just having a fan that just blows at it all the time and one strength, if you put a certain meat, like let's say you put fish in there and you put the probe in, it'll blow some heat at it for a minute and then it'll slow the fan down to just cook the internal, and everything turns out perfect every time, I swear. Use code Adrian30 to save $30. I'm just joking. Kind of. It's a really good air fryer. I air fry everything. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I need to crawl out from under my rock because I've learned more about the things that I need in life from this interview
You need
than
to
I think I have in all my research.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to ask you. So you said that you used to eat a lot of almond flour, and you named some other things. I was wondering if you ever had to struggle with oxalates or oxalate dumping when you went carnivore.
No, I didn't. I don't, and I think that by the time that I went full carnivore, I had weaned myself from keto. I kind of did everything a little bit slowly. So I don't think so. I really didn't have any issue, which is unfortunate because I know people do, and I would love to tell them about it. I'd love to tell them what to do about it. I was very blessed. I just was able to zoom on into it.
Awesome. Because it's awful. And sometimes it can be so bad that people end up having a stone move.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, it's the diet, it's the meat. And it's not the meat. It's your body finally processing the oxalates you've been stocking up for years.
Yes. Oh, I also electrolyted quite a bit at the beginning, so I didn't get the keto flu and the slumps and the dips and,
Do you find you still need to use electrolytes, or is it good now?
It's good. I definitely, when I'm running more heavily in the summer, I keep them. I probably have electrolytes once a week now. I'll throw I get the unflavored Element brand. I do the raw unflavored. I think it's out of habit. And I just definitely always want to stay hydrated. And when I'm running more heavily, I definitely drink a lot more electrolytes. I definitely notice that I will get cramping. I will get, more uncomfortable when I don't have enough electrolytes. But just standard casual running every week and living my life, once a week I have some electrolytes. Yeah.
So you mentioned having a kid.
Oh, I've got two.
She has 2 kids, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm curious, does your family eat similarly to you or just completely different from you? How does that go? Have you tried transitioning your kids to more meat, or what does that look like?
So no, my husband and children do not eat like me. They're not carnivore in any sense of the word. For instance, I'm making dinner. I'll have a roast and a couple of sides. I will eat the roast. They will eat the roast and a couple of sides. I struggle with this quite a bit. We monitor sugar. We do our best. They do not drink soda or juices or any of those things. So my big red flags, they avoid. am struggling as a mom because they're picky in quite a bit of ways. And I see so many other carnivores who are like, my kids are carnivore too. I pack them olives and bacon for lunch, and they're just so happy and thriving. And I'm like, I've got kids who would just not eat versus like eat the stuff that I eat. So part of and this is like I'm glad that you brought this up. One of my biggest hesitations when I was considering starting carnivore was that I didn't want my kids to see that I'm eating in such a special, different way. I didn't want it to impose any food fears on them. I was afraid of how this would affect them and the way that they perceive food and diet and eating. But we've kind of gotten to a place where, first of all, my children are healthy. You know, they eat moderately, you know what I mean? They're not like junking on sugar all day. They eat healthy home cooked meals along with the other stuff. And we're just kind of going along with that. I try to do my best, you know, by them. We place a big emphasis, I think, because of the way that I grew up and the mentality that I had around eating and body image. I think my husband and I really try and implement healthy attitudes toward what we eat and how we eat it. We can say, like, you can't have too much sugar because it's bad for our bodies. You know what I mean? We're just trying to instill those health principles into their life. I don't know. I feel like I'm just justifying. Like, I swear I'm not a bad mom. Like,
no, you have. There's no judgment here. I was just curious. I have 2 kids as well, and if for those of you that don't know my story, my older son is still, you know, he's standard American diet, right? It's because he's 18, so he still lives at home, but he's 18. Can't force the boy. The younger one has ADHD, very, very severe, which this is not my interview, so I won't go on and on about it, but very severe. And he did agree to go carnivore in February. He's very picky too, Chelsea, with texture issues and all this stuff. And so we started him on like the substitution kind of foods. Like I made him carnivore chicken nuggets and carnivore pizza pockets with like cheese and pepperoni, not worried. Like the pepperoni is not clean. I don't care about that because he got rid of the bread and the, you know, all that, because it's like frozen pizza, like from the freezer aisle with all the preservatives. Right. And now, like yesterday, I was like, hey, I'm making a chuck roast. And he literally cheered. Like, awesome. So, you know, it's kind of cool to see that, you know, we started them. I didn't care. I was like, these substitution foods that we did were way better than the you know, standard American, highly processed stuff that he was eating, you know, Cheez-Its and Doritos. And like I said, frozen pizza and chicken nuggets from the freezer aisle and stuff. And I was totally fine. I never thought in a million years that he would be, you know, chewing on a chicken thigh off the bone, you know, and now he's like, woohoo, chicken, you know, or chuck roast. He gets very excited. And so he still eats the pizza pockets occasionally, maybe once a week, where when he started, it was like 5 nights a week. That's what he would be eating. Just kind of like he's naturally, it's kind of cool. It's like actually amazing and super cool to watch because all the stuff that I hear carnivores saying, like my cravings went away and now I want meat. Like I'm just watching it happen with him in real time. And never once did I say, you really should eat the chuck roast more than the pizza pockets. Like I never said that to him. I was like, we're going to go carnivore. Here's some things you can have. And then it's just naturally happening. And he just turned 16. So
that's awesome.
If you ever wanted to do it, and again, no judgment. I think you're doing amazing. Keeping them off the juice and the sodas. That's awesome. That's a huge win right there. But I'm just saying, I'm just sharing my experience because I mean, for him, he knew that his ADHD was bad. And so it motivated him enough to, well, we've tried everything else, you know, we might as well try this. And, you know, he's been sticking to it since February, which I think is pretty cool. So
that's
anyway,
awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad to hear this. I will say I found that I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old daughter, and those are difficult ages. I started with the trying healthier alternatives to these foods, and they did not like them. It was not popular. And I think that I just got so frustrated. I kind of backed off a little and like, just eat your food. You know, we'll figure this out. But over time, my older daughter, she started to really get a taste for meat. She really, you know, so it's kind of the progression. There's like a natural, they're starting to try more foods, whether they like them or not. They're trying them. My older daughter definitely loves meat. She is chomping on chicken wings with me. You know, when I have them, they're one of her favorite foods. She loves burger patties, texture eater. My younger one is getting there. You know, she's sort of following, but I think that we don't, I don't want to say like I gave up, but I stopped, you know, pushing, you know, and we'll get there. Parenting's hard.
Yes. I want to send you some mom love because I almost guarantee that you're feeding your kids better than 99% of America. I mean, I can remember last week I gave my kids each a little tiny cup of eggnog. I did.
Wow.
Sorry, guys. I did. And so
That's
all I can think in my head is, oh, I'm a bad mom because I gave them that one thing, you know, like the things that we give them that we don't prefer, it sticks in our brain. But like so many of the other things we give them are amazing, especially compared to other people. And I bet you're doing a better job than you think you are. I have an 11, a 13. I did that out of order. 13, 11, 5, and 2. And I struggle with my 13 and my 11. Now my 13, he's coming over. He's having me make him lunches that are all meat, and he's doing awesome, and he's starting to crave this. My littles are doing awesome. I'm the extremist, and I don't care. Yet today, my son was at the dock fishing with dad, and he looked over at the other people, and he said, "Did you know that sunscreen is toxic?"
That's awesome.
Proud. Anyway, I know this family who lives in the woods and they homeschool all their kids and they only had whole foods their entire life and very low grain, and they never had seed oils. And do you think that they're disordered? No. When they try junk food now, they go, "Oh, why does anybody eat that? I feel like crud." And so we have it in our mind that we have to do this or we're going to create a bad relationship with food, but really their bodies are going to have a better relationship with the good foods the more we can add. So I'm the mom that says, if you eat your meat, I'll let you have a little of that other crap.
Yes.
But mostly I just wanted to send some love and say, you got this, mom, and you're doing better. I guarantee you're doing better than most of America, especially if you walk into a lunchroom. And another thing, sorry, I'm talking so much. I'm really excited about this, Everett. I've been using Courtney Luna's new cookbook. She sent me a copy. They ship October 1st for anybody who hasn't pre-ordered yet. Go get your cookbook. And there's amazing stuff in there for kids because I do think substitute foods are okay for kids. I was sending just the same stuff they always love, shrimp, bacon, steak, and my kindergartner, he just wouldn't eat. And he would come home because he was surrounded by the kids with the standard American foods. And so thank God for Courtney's cookbook. Okay. Is there a question in there, Adrian? Yes. Okay. Do you ever go out to eat, and do you have any tips for us?
I do. Again, Brazilian steakhouses are my jam. That is my special occasion. Eat as much as you want kind of deal. When I go to a restaurant, I always look at the menu ahead of time. I definitely, if I don't know what I'm going to get, I always get a burger patty. They always have burgers pretty much everywhere. Ask about seed oils, ask, what do you cook your chicken in? Can I get a chicken breast? They definitely have steak. I know that a lot of people have issues with steak in restaurants. I think because they are dry aged. So, I'm not like the best guide. I am just an example of a standard person with no autoimmune issues. I can go to a restaurant and get a burger patty, a steak, or a chicken breast anywhere. Other than that, hit up a Brazilian steakhouse. It's the best experience. And you feel like so fancy with the tongs,
Oh, I love a good Brazilian steakhouse. Okay, I wanted to get back to the part of your story where you talked about your parents both passing away from heart disease. I was curious to know if you've gotten any testing, like maybe a CAC score, or are you planning on doing that in the future?
I have not. I'm planning on doing it. I haven't made any concrete plans. I went last year to have my blood drawn. And I was happy with the results, and I'm feeling pretty good. As I get further along in this journey, I watched something the other day where someone who was on carnivore did have a heart attack, and their CAC score was very high. And Dr. Obadiah he spoke about it, and he said that it likely wasn't diet related because everything else was pretty kosher, but I'm paying attention. It's definitely opening my eyes. So I do want to have it done. I have not planned to have it done yet.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm a lean mass hyper responder. I mean, I don't know if you're a lean mass hyper responder, but I am. So my LDL is sky high, although my triglycerides and HDL are fantastic. Yeah. And I'm considering getting a CAC score, but I haven't done it yet either. I was just curious since that was one of your main concerns.
Yes. Well, I didn't I thought I'm doing great. I literally found the perfect diet, and my gums are healthy, and I'm good. But CAC has been popping up a lot more recently. So I'm thinking about it.
And
especially
you
my
had
history. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too. But then some people are like, is it worth the radiation? Is it that much radiation? I don't know. But I can't imagine that adding plants is really gonna, because they're just, the bioavailable nutrients just aren't there, and they come with anti-nutrients. I'm just not seeing how adding plants would help. But you had mentioned too about not having balance with your eating. Now,
Yeah.
since you've lost all this weight, have you had any issues with weight regain? Have you had to work at it? And how has the balance been?
I have fluctuated the same 5 pounds for the last 2 years. Yeah, I found that with my diet has maintained. You know what I mean? When I'm exercising more, I eat more. When I'm more sedentary, I 1 or 2 meals a day. And yes, I fluctuated the same 5 pounds for the last 2 years. So I definitely, this diet keeps me eating the same. You know what I mean? I'm eating the same foods that I've been eating for 2 years. I definitely have struggled at times with emotional eating. I find now, though, I'll find myself, I'm busy or I'm stressed, and I start snacking, which is my indication, hey man, you got to back off a little bit. But I find that I pull the reins much, much quicker and much easier than it used to be. It used to be hey man, you're snacking a lot. And then that would just turn into cookie eating. You know what I mean? Cookies for fun. Whereas now it's just different. It's I can keep myself on a much shorter leash, much easier, I will say. And that's another thing that's kind of a myth with carnivore. You can gain weight. You definitely can gain weight. You definitely can overeat. What will become your normal, you have to balance it. You have to balance your new normal as well as your old. But I definitely find it easier because you can only, also with the snacks, I would snack on bacon. You know what I mean? When I find myself starting to snack, because I do eat dairy, I'm a moderator with dairy. I treat it like a condiment. I definitely eat it, but it is not one of my main food groups. And I find that when I'm more on a snacky phase, I just stay away from dairy. You know what I mean? I stay away from the things where I know that it's gonna, set me into a direction I don't like.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like it kind of makes you carnivore, makes you a little more self-aware, and you can just kind of rein that stuff in easily. Your body kind of talks to you a lot more, at least me, than when I was just eating a bunch of junk. Adrian, we have a question for you, my friend. So here it is. It's from Simpson, and she says, Adrian, where can I find the success or lack of success of The Biggest Loser? My husband is adamant that extremely low calorie with excessive exercise is the way to go. bringing up The Biggest Loser as a success example. Take it away, Adrian.
Well, first, I want to say that the reason you can't find many Biggest Losers is because most of us killed our metabolisms and gained all our weight back. I personally gained over 100 pounds immediately after the show, and so did so many of us. So, secondly, I want to say that you should come to my channel. I have a brand new series called Beyond Biggest Loser, and I'm interviewing. And now that I've interviewed a few, now they're all coming and they want to tell their stories of like what happened and what are they doing now to be successful. And I can guarantee not a single person, at least not so far, has said, I've continued 8 hours of cardio and lifting and eating nothing. Not a single person is going to say that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Adrian. Do you have her Chelsea's channel? Can you shout that out, or I do if you want me to bring it up?
That'd be amazing.
Okay, cool. It's okay. I'll do this and then I'll do the meaty wheel after. Just give me a minute here.
Thank you, Cristie, for doing all the work today.
You know, I got the muscles. It's fine. Okay, so here is Chelsea's channel. As you can see here, it is Run Carnivore Run. We would love to have you go over there and subscribe. Chelsea and I were talking before the show. It's kind of like when do I have time? But she has a lot of great videos here. I love the car, like from in the car,
Yes.
cats and things like that. See, here's another one. I love those. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed over here at Chelsea's channel, Run Carnivore Run, please do. Chelsea, will you tell us a little bit about your channel and the kind of things you like to talk about?
Yes. So my channel is it's geared toward carnivore, some running. A great deal is focused on the mentality behind weight loss, things that can help change your mind about how you're eating and just become more aware. Little health things, like I did something recently on adrenal fatigue. I found that I was having way too much coffee and it was causing a great deal of problems in my life. I do share some recipes like the carnivore chicken tenders, little tips and tricks, how to cook certain things, ground beef. You can cook it from frozen, where, little things that I take for granted now that I had no idea when I started carnivore, especially when you're stocking up on meat and you're trying to, buy on sale and store it, little tips and tricks that can help you begin, and maintain your carnivore lifestyle. I also have, again, my testimony video is on there, probably said much better than I did on this tonight. I'm a bit nervous, but I do want to share with people my journey, because a lot of people can relate, I think, with the struggles that we have with weight loss and the mentality. It was more or less the mentality that went behind the changes versus just the physical changes. So check it out. I would love to have you. And thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really, really grateful for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Shaw says he just subbed up to your channel. So thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
that is
Mike
so
Shaw.
awesome.
Thanks so much.
And so Simpson says, I wasn't subscribed to Adrian. I am now, but also thanks. And also with Chelsea. So there you go. Both of you guys got a new subscriber. So fantastic. Okay, we have a meaty wheel that we like to spin around here. So I hope that you are ready for our question.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one. So they're all good ones. Okay, so here's our meaty wheel, and I'm going to give it a spin. All right, we hunted down this meaty question for you, Chelsea. Are there any resources or communities that have been particularly helpful for you?
YouTube. In general, YouTube, that is where I start. That's where I maintain my research. Especially Steak and Butter Gal, if you're looking for cooking tips, tricks. She does a lot of work with cholesterol. Definitely Dr. Anthony Chafee, definitely Dr. Sean Baker, and definitely Dr. Ken Berry. Kelly Hogan has been a huge inspiration to me. Please check out her channel. She does My Zero Carb Life. She does a podcast, interviews. I think interviews and, the little like Steak and Butter Gal snippets were some of the biggest influences in keeping me on carnivore, because I guarantee you're going to want to give up, a few times when you start this journey. But if you can stay in the lifestyle and stay with people who have maintained and just have a great relationship with this lifestyle, then you will be successful. So YouTube all the way. Yes.
Awesome.
Amazing show. I think with that, it's time for us to do our roar. Is everyone ready? Get your roars in the comments and we'll be sure to share them. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Roar!
Yay!
Okay.
There's a little bit
Just
of
giving
a
it a
delay.
second. Come on, guys. There we go. Put them up there, Adrian. Yay, Simpson. Simpson got it in there first, but Mike's got the W. Oh, thanks, Booby Goats. That is a fantastic roar. She's feeling a lot of energy in that one.
You have a
There's
great
Karen.
audience.
Thanks, Karen. Oh, we love
We
our audience.
agree.
They're the best. They are the best. Speaking of our audience, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. You guys, you got to be here next week. Oh, there's the picanha roar. Thank you, Eric. Okay, sorry. He said picanha, and then it totally distracted me. Okay, you got to tune in next week because next week we will have Dr. Anthony Chafee. So don't be late. Get your questions ready. I know that, like, for example, I had a question and I caught Dr. Tony Hampton on a smaller YouTube, and man, he was able to answer my question. So I can't promise that, we can get in everybody's question, but bring your questions for Dr. Chafee because he's going to roar with us next week as our first lion, not lioness, lion that we've had on the show. So thanks for watching. Again, leave us a comment down below. We would love to shout you out for next week's Roar of the Week. And I guess until then, good night, everybody. And thank you to Chelsea as well.
So much, guys.